are good-looking fruit. Oh my gosh. And you've been doing this for how long? 11 years?
11.
11 years. And you've raised over almost $200,000. That's incredible. Give yourself a hand. Well, as I said, my name is Wade, and I'm the ambassador for the Pediatric AIDS Foundation. And I'm here to say thank you for all that you're doing, because what you are doing today and everything that you've done to lead up to this point is incredible. And I know that because I've personally benefited from all of the work the foundation has done. So I want to tell you a little bit about myself, and I won't take too long so that we can get back to dancing. But I was born with a heart defect that required surgery to repair it, and that was back in the 80s. So it was back in the 80s, and I had a surgery, like I said, to correct it, and I had a blood transfusion during that time. And I was infected with HIV during that blood transfusion when I was 3 years old. So this was back in the day when we didn't really know about HIV too much, and we didn't really know even that this was happening in blood transfusion. So years go by, and the medical community learns about these mistakes that were made, and so they contacted all the families, they contacted my family and said, look, she had this surgery, you might want to come in and have her tested, but I was healthy, so my parents decided not to. So then a couple of years later, I started getting sick, and so they thought it might, just to be safe, we should go get this test. Sure enough, it came back positive. I was 8 years old when my family found out, and they basically told my parents, you have 2 years to live, or she has 2 years to live, and enjoy her, because she's not going to be around for much longer. So I was 8 years old. My parents had just been told that I had 2 years to live. So we started going on vacation. We started doing all sorts of fun stuff. I was spoiled rotten, and I had no idea why, but it was awesome. I loved it. And I didn't know because my parents didn't tell me because there weren't any meds for me to take at this point. So I was an 8-year-old kid, had no idea what was going on. My parents, my family just found out this news, and they were basically just saying goodbye to me one day at a time. So fast forward 2 years later, and all of a sudden there are pediatric HIV drugs that are available. So this was the first time that I ever had any kind of hope for the future. So this is because of the work that Elizabeth Glazier and the Pediatric AIDS Foundation has done. So I started a drug protocol. I started going on, did I just get louder? So I started going on different medications, and I've had great success with it. Kind of grew up in the hospital system as it was, so I started going back to the hospital, and at that point, my parents decided they probably should tell me what I had, because I was a kid, I was a little bit oblivious, but I wasn't that oblivious. So they told me that I had HIV, and I had no idea what it was, and then they said it's the virus that causes AIDS. And that word AIDS I knew at the age of 10. So I was scared, I was terrified, I thought I was going to die. I asked my mom, am I going to die? And she looked me in the eyes, and like the best mother that she is, she said, I don't know. So I'm 10 years old at this point, just kind of getting into my first experiences of taking medications for HIV. And like I said, I've been really lucky. And the thing with medications is you can only take them for so long, and eventually your body's going to need new ones if you have HIV. So back in those first days, there were maybe 1 or 2. And I had 1 or 2 options. And if those didn't work, I was in trouble. So that was a little bit nerve-wracking. But because of the work of the foundation and what you guys have done to support the foundation, more drugs have been approved so that people like me when I was growing up had more options. So fast forward, I'm still very healthy, and I go to college. I never thought I would go to college, but I ended up going to college with you guys. And that's a whole different world, okay? Imagine as a 10-year-old, you have a health condition that you're dealing with. As an 18-year-old, a 19-year-old, it's very different. So the dating scene, not fun. Who likes dating? I don't understand what you're thinking, but okay, I respect that. Dating was not fun for me at all, because I had this big secret that I had to tell people. I knew I had to tell them for myself. I couldn't feel comfortable going on dates and me become really serious with them if they didn't know. So first dates were fabulous for me, because I always had that conversation in the back of my head, like, how is this guy going to react to this? And And I had a variety of reactions, and I kind of got to the point where I realized I just had to tell people and get over it. And I had some people that were okay with it, and other people that weren't. And one guy in particular who ran for the hills as fast as he could. So that was heartbreaking at the time. It was like the most dramatic thing that could happen to you in college. But it was okay. He wasn't a very good kisser. But I also had a friend of mine who I thought was a friend, who actually thought it would be nice and kind for me to tell a boy that I was starting to date, warn me. It's not cool. But that was hard for me to deal with. So my college experience was a little bit different in that I had this in the back of my head, and I always knew that I had to be responsible. I knew that I had to take care of myself, and I knew that I had to tell people if I got serious with them. So, and this is still more and more drugs are being developed as I'm growing up, and more hope is out there for me. So I've been able to live a long and healthy life. I graduated college a few years ago. And I got married, I met somebody, and I told that this is another situation where, oh my gosh, this guy's gonna run, or this is gonna be the best thing ever. So I told him on our third date, and let me tell you something. There is maybe like a 3-second period of time when it's the right time to tell somebody that they're HIV positive. I never found that time. I just ended up telling someone. Either it was too late or it was too early. Some person told me that it was too late after I told them on the second date. So I don't really know if that's a first date conversation, but whatever. So I told Paul, my now husband, on our third date, and he was floored. He never thought that he would ever have to deal with this in his life. So I gave him some time to think about it. He took a couple days, and luckily he was okay with it. He came back and he said, you know what? This is going to work. We can do this. So 2 months later, we were engaged, and 7 months after that, we were married. And 6 years later, we're still married, so that's good. But I literally wouldn't be here today. I have a successful career, I'm happy and married. I wouldn't be here today without the work that Elizabeth Glacier and the Pediatric AIDS Foundation has done. And you guys are a huge part of that. What you're doing here, like I said, everything that you've done to lead up to this point is why I'm here today. And it's amazing. I can't thank you enough. The work that you're doing is incredible. You are all advocates like Elizabeth Glacier was. And you are fighting the fight that a mother fights. And this is incredible. You guys need to be really proud of yourself for that. So for that, I thank you. I love watching you guys dance. Maybe later I'll join you. We'll see. But you guys are doing a fantastic job. I'm honored to be here. Thank you for having me, and thank you for all that you're doing.